As funeral arrangements for the King of Pop are finalized, there are still conflicting stories about whether or not Michael Jackson abused prescription medication.
An autopsy ordered by the Jackson family will hopefully answer some of those questions. But one thing certainly irrefutable, Michael Jackson's music legacy. And here to talk about how the King of Pop changed the face of music, entertainment contributor Scott Feinberg is back. Scott, thank you for being here. We're happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, there are few entertainers who sustained a career as long as Michael Jackson, so I guess it's understandable to see the reaction to his death.
He's, like Madonna, someone who's had so many incarnations over the years. There was throughout the late 60s and early 70s, he was obviously part of the Jackson Quintet with the Jackson Five, the quintet of his siblings and him, under the oversight of his father, Joe. That was how the public first was introduced to Michael Jackson, and then, of course, he morphed into this solo artist with a number of things in the late 70s, but particularly Thriller in 1982. Yes. And ever since then, he has been a very big part of the American pop culture scene.
And you want to talk about an artist who really broke down barriers. I was talking to a friend on Friday, and we were talking earlier. Al Sharpton made a very good point, and he said, you know, this is, you know, pre-President Barack Obama, pre-Oprah, and before, you know, Tiger Woods. Michael Jackson was the man who really kind of just broke down those barriers and made everything okay in terms of race.
Absolutely. I mean, with MTV and coming back to Thriller, there were very few, if any, black artists who had been showcased on MTV, which happened to come along at the same time that Michael Jackson's Thriller was released, roughly the same time. And so, really, that network was built on the back of Thriller, which a 14-minute music video that was shown over and over and over again. People couldn't get enough of it, and it's still one of the best-selling, most popular albums. 7 top 100 singles on the Billboard list there came out of that album. The album itself was on the top 100 for a year. It's you know, he really made a huge cultural impact then that even through the rough patches that have followed has sustained him in the public's imagination.
Right. And you see that impact online. I think a lot of people are talking about how the word spread through Facebook and through Twitter, and you have your own postings. I was on there this morning, and you actually have your favorite song listed, which is?
Well, I like Man in the Mirror, and I think that one of the things that I like about that and a lot of his other music is that there was a sort of a humanitarian aspect to it as well. It was very, you know, kind of cool to listen to, fun, but there was actually substance there as well with a lot of these songs, message. And I was thinking about it, and there, you know, when you look at today's music, a lot of it, vast majority of it is about getting the girl, losing the girl, getting the guy, losing the guy, and there's not a lot else there. Michael Jackson, whether it's Heal the World or
The Girl Is Mine,
or all of it, you know, there is some different layers to it there. It's always, you know, fun. You can always dance to it. But when you actually sit down and break down the lyrics, as I did while writing a piece the day he died, it's very interesting to see that within the lyrics, which he always wrote himself or was a co-writer of, you know, there was a lot of thought there, often coming back to children and humanitarian issues.
What do you think it is that he really brought to the table in terms of with impacting other artists? Because a lot of today's artists really have kind of mimicked his work and kind of drawn on him.
Well, I would say that you could look at it two ways. He's had a tremendous impact in the sense that you can look at NSYNC or now Justin Timberlake or Usher, and these guys, I mean, the dance moves weren't happening like that before Michael Jackson.
Right.
At the same time, there's been just in all throughout society sort of a reduction in language, in the sense that, you know, we're talking about Twitter. We have to say what we want to say in 130 characters or whatever. In the music, it's also, you know, you're not getting into a story, a narrative like Michael Jackson often did, and that's one of the that's a shame. But you know, you look at a music video for Thriller or something, he had to fill 14 minutes. There was a lot there, and you know, I think just another point that we shouldn't forget is that it wasn't only the lyrics. This guy, if he had just been a singer, would have been a big star, but he was also a terrific dancer.
A good entertainer.
Good entertainer all around.
Well, clearly he did a lot of things later in his career that he was highly criticized for, and he was hoping for this big comeback, this comeback tour that he was planning. Do you think after death that this is now when he perhaps will get what he was hoping for? Because we tend to only remember the good.
That's true, and it's kind of sad. I mean, his own father was interviewed last night at the BET Awards and said, you know, he's more popular now than he ever was in life. It's too bad that he didn't live to see it. because he loved nothing more than the adoration of his fans, and he had some pretty rabidly crazy about him fans. You know, he had very loyal fans. Even, you know, there could be an argument that for the last 20 some odd years, a full generation now has passed since he was really on top of his game, and there was always hope that he would be able to come back with this London tour. The more we learn about the circumstances of his death, the more we realize that it may or may not have actually come off, but regardless, we are now seeing the way people ultimately feel about him in spite of the bumps along the road.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more, you know, in coming weeks. Scott Feinberg, thank you so much for coming by and talking with us today. We certainly appreciate you being here.
It.
Listen, don't go anywhere. There's more Connecticut Style coming your way right after this.